I was autistic and understanding what that meant was a life-changing moment for me. For the first time in my life, I understood myself and my experience in the world. It allowed me to be kinder to myself and to even love myself a little more. I wanted to yell it from the roof. I told you I wasn't crazy, I'm autistic! I wanted to tell everyone around me because surely they would finally be able to understand me too. As soon as I began to share my new discovery, I quickly realized that people were not receiving it in the same positive way as I did. People became weird and defensive and even occasionally a little bit ugly. After a few of those reactions, I became much more selective of who I chose to open up to. Even before being tested, I knew this was my truth. If they're rejecting this truth, are they rejecting me? Hey friends, welcome to my little corner on the interwebs. If you're new here, my name's Kathlena and I'm autistic with a heavy dash of ADHD. I make videos about autism and neurodiversity, so if that's something that you're interested in, be sure to subscribe. In today's video, we are going to talk about the process of opening up to friends and family after you learn that you are on the spectrum. A few people have requested that I make this video out of curiosity with how my experience went and maybe provide some tips and suggestions for individuals that are maybe a little bit nervous or apprehensive to open up to the people around them. First and foremost, it is your choice whether or not you decide to tell those around you. You have no obligation to anyone but yourself. My first suggestion is to take all of the time that you need to process and understand what being autistic really means to you and in your life. I spent months processing, learning, playing back scenes from my past life with a different lens before I really felt confident enough to share this news with the people closest to me. If you decide that you want to open up and share this news with people in your life, start with the people that are closest to you. Choose people that you trust and feel at least somewhat comfortable being vulnerable with. It's helpful if the people that you start with actually know you, like the real you, without a mask. Typically, those people already love you for who you are, they accept you, and they've also likely seen your struggle at one point or another. I remember so clearly telling my best friend of 20 years. We sat on video chat and I talked for about 20 minutes straight, uninterrupted, basically going through all of the bullet points of why I believed that I was on the spectrum and all of the things that I had learned. And at the end of that, I was met with, yeah, I see it. It explains so much. And that was the response that I needed. There was no judgment, only love, and a true desire to understand me better. Another thing that I highly suggest, which can be a little bit challenging for some of us on the spectrum, I know that it was challenging for me, but very helpful, and that was to lead the conversation and to set boundaries in the very beginning. Vocalize the importance of the conversation and what reaction you're looking for. In other words, tell them that you're sharing this information with them because you care about them and that questions are welcome, but you're not looking for advice or opinions at this time. By setting those boundaries and expectations at the very beginning, if for some reason the boundaries are pushed, you can confidently point it out and gently end the conversation. One of the first people that I opened up to was my husband, Arlen. When I initially shared it, I was met with hesitation, hiding under the umbrella of support. As days passed, I would try to share articles or information to support why I believed that I was on the spectrum, and it was increasingly being met with aggression. This was a really challenging time for us and caused me to pull back a lot. I didn't understand why I was being met with so much anger from an individual that I have always been able to comfortably communicate with. Time would reveal the true reason for why he was so unapproachable. So this is my husband Arlen, and I thought that it would be helpful to get your opinion and your thought process when I told you that I was autistic, or I thought that I was autistic.
Yeah, so I think I didn't handle it as great as it came from a place of having people close in my life undiagnosed as an adult having autism and not fully understanding it and not understanding. I think that's true for a lot of people, just not understanding what autism really means. But I think most of what that came from and why I felt like that was just the fear of myself possibly having some of that, because I connected with some of the stuff. And if what you're saying that I connected with was directly related to autism, then I would have to start admitting some of the stuff within myself and possibly and just, I guess, yeah, be more open to looking at it myself, which I think in the process I got to the point where, yeah, it made sense for myself as well. And then I think because of that, we understood each other a lot more too.
Definitely, yeah. So even though it was a really challenging time in that initial phase, I think that overall it really did make a huge improvement in our overall relationship and understanding of each other.
Yeah, we were just talking about how we would make up stories of why things are certain ways. She's very touch sensitive. So without autism, what does that mean for somebody if they don't want to be touched by you? So these stories start building, and if I space out for 5 minutes or vice versa while the other person is talking, then that must mean that we're not interested. So it was redefining some of those things that for almost 10 years now we've been together and dealing with.
Awesome. Thank you. Practicing the conversation beforehand, something that most of us are probably already pretty familiar with and probably doing anyways, can really help you to convey the message that you want in a clean and concise way. For me, it's really helpful to have things written down to keep me focused and also keep me on track. Don't let the opinions of other people change what this diagnosis means for you. The majority of society is uninformed and basing their opinions and beliefs based off of characters that they've seen on TV or fear-based ads. If they are open and curious about learning more, provide resources. But if they choose to continue to argue their ill-informed opinions, you can choose to end the conversation. It's not a you thing, it's a them thing. They just may need time to process. Sometimes it can also be triggering for people because some of the things that you're pointing out may be experiences that they themselves, especially if they're family, because there's a genetic component, there may be things that you're pointing out that they believe that everybody does. As for whether or not to disclose this information in the working environment, that is entirely up to you and your circumstances. For many, it can be incredibly helpful because it allows for accommodations that can help make your working experience much more manageable, and at least in America can protect against potential discrimination under the ADA. That's it for this video, friends. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel. Remember to be kind to yourself, and I will see you in the next video.